If you die without a will, you will be considered having died intestate. And then anyone who is living after you would be required to apply for something we call letters of administration, all right, and go through the entire probate process. Now, many persons provide for this, or they may consider to set up a trust as well. But essentially, your property is left for those related to you to benefit from, and or the state, essentially, if you don't make provisions for it. Now, the piece of legislation that governs the treatment of property in the event of the death of a citizen is called the Succession Act, right? We have several acts actually that we can consider. We have the Administration of Estates Act, and let me just see if I can get back Ms. Subas with me. Hold on 1 minute. All right. So we're going into the Succession Act. And the Succession Act is a very important one because it outlines who has an entitlement for applying for your property if you die. One of the first persons that Act makes provision for if you are married is your spouse. Right? Ms. Gibson-Subas is telling me that she's still on, but I'm not hearing her. Are you guys hearing or seeing her? Let me know, because we really would love to have her engaged in this conversation. And I know you guys are very used to seeing and hearing me. We want to revisit this topic with fresh perspective, a new voice and a new lens to it, and really consider the practicality of it and the need to put things in place. Now, let me see if I can just get some of the messages. All right. So if there is, today's discussion is going to be primarily based on looking at real property. When we talk about real property, we're talking about houses, land, and assets like these. We're not talking about personal property like furniture, car. No, we're talking about real property. All right? Not hearing her, I'm only hearing you. All right, Jenny, thank you. Not hearing or seeing her. All right. So I'm hoping that admin in the background will be able to assist us today with getting Miss Gibson-Subas back with us. All right, because we know that our webinars are usually interactive. All right. All right. So I think that Miss Subas is Tasha. If we can help Ms. Subas come out of from the messages, I'm recognizing that she came off from the presenter link and she's using an ordinary link, like all of our attendees. So I think I'm seeing that Miss Gibson Subas, Miss Gibson Davis Subas is on with us, but she is on a link, seeing it just like all the other webinar participants. I would like to tell her, to hear if you're seeing and hearing me, that you would need to exit here and re-enter using the link that would have been sent, a presenter link sent to you on your email, and join us from there so that you can join the conversation. All right. In the meantime, let me answer. I see someone says, no children, no will, two siblings, what happens? And that's a very nice question, Wayne, because obviously there are some persons who die in this manner. Again, if you die without a will, because in his scenario, he says no will, then you would have died and will be legally considered an intestate person. The persons entitled to apply to administrate your estates will again rely on what the Succession Act dictates. And the Succession Act lists out the entitlement of persons as they are related to you. So the first line of, in the first sets of people who are most entitled to apply for the estate of a deceased person is the deceased person's spouse and the deceased person's children. Under the act, they have equal entitlement and are required, as it is of now, for half of the estate or half the value of the estate. Half goes to the spouse, half goes to the biological children. And notice that we're not saying children of the marriage or children of who the person recognized, except children biologically related to the deceased person and can, and these children can support that biological relationship by virtue of a birth paper with the deceased person's name affixed as either the father or the mother of that person. So that's how you establish that you are the biological child of a deceased person. And the spouse as well will have to establish that they are in fact the spouse by producing a marriage certificate identifying that you were married to the deceased person and that there exists no decree absolute for divorce. All right. After these groups of people, we have the entitlement of parents. All right. Parents and then siblings. So if the parents of the deceased person is still alive, they can apply. And we often have that with a lot of young people are dying these days without having children, without getting married. And so their parents will be the persons entitled to apply for their estate. And after them will be the siblings. So to answer Wayne's question quite simply, your two siblings, Wayne, in this event will have the entitlement to apply and benefit from the estate in that event. All right. And remember, guys, these acts, they are laws of Trinidad and Tobago. They are available for your download and access anywhere online. You literally can Google these things and find a PDF copy of your laws and read through it. All right. Each citizen of Trinidad and Tobago have the absolute right to have access to their laws and pieces of legislation that essentially governs your life. As you would recognize, and I would have attended an event recently where it was reiterated that the Freedom of Information Act, has been fought for and created there to ensure that the public have access to even a whole wide range of even personally created documents for public information. So please remember that and acquaint yourself with your laws. You do not have to be a lawyer to know the law. All right. I'm seeing a thumbs up on my side. I don't know if the presenters are getting through it, getting Miss with Tahira back there. I'm seeing Tahira as a presenter, but I'm not hearing her or seeing her. So strange. She's here listed as a presenter, and we're getting more and more persons joining us, and I really, really would have loved for her to join me. But I'm not. It's a such, and we had her before, we were seeing her. Perhaps if she used a laptop, she may get some assistance. All right, so without further ado, let's go in terms of property. We're talking about property today, and for the rest of the month, we will revisit as well. You guys remembering that it is very important to make sure that your property is sorted out. All right. Today we're looking at the death aspect of your property, but even when you are alive, make sure that the property that you are on has proper title and that the title is registered and that the transaction that you would have done to purchase your property has in fact been verified in the Registrar General's Department, the Land division or the land section of the Registrar General Department at the Ministry of Legal Affairs, it is certainly important to just ensure that you have your papers in order.